Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. We have with me, you've met him before, but it's been a long time, Jared Tadich, my business partner,
Yep.
landscape architect, lead designer here. And then with us is Susanna Blaze. Jared and Susanna are both working on the design aspects of the promenade and working really closely with Paul and his team on the road construction and how that all integrates. Vin asked me like, oh, can you just send a PowerPoint of the design? And I could have, but I think having Jer and Susanna explain the thought behind the design is important. And I've asked them, this is me, I said, keep it about 15 minutes. And Jerry's going to walk through a very brief presentation, orientation, and we could take questions, or if you just want them to kind of go through the whole thing, and then we can go back and see if there's any questions. It might be best to do the latter because Jerry will sort of get in a rhythm, and we'll move through it, and you'll hear the thoughts and thinking behind it. Jerry and Susanna have been out to site a few times with Paul. They're going out again next week, so real good understanding of the situation out there. And
flat.
It's flat.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Tadich. I guess Susanna here. We've been working with Paul hand in hand on developing the concept for the promenade. And what this presentation is a snapshot of where we are design-wise that highlights the major design components of the promenade. Okay. The slide you see right now is the existing condition, so it's a great canvas to work on, as they say. And the theme that we're looking at here is putting modern features within a historical setting. It has a historical industrial setting. All right, with the goal of providing and developing a entertainment venue, the importance of a waterfront setting and the value of that, respective of the economy and a recreational value, and then also the environmental connections that go beyond the actual harbor, that be water connections or connections into the wildlife walk or down into downtown. Those are all environmental connections that this site plays a role in. All right, so what we're going to look at, the next slide is an aerial sketch of the promenade, if you can bring that up. Okay, so how we work is we develop the idea. We work a lot still on hand and with on trash drawings, and just keep generating ideas and refining them. And this is a hand drawing of our current design concept, and I'd like to use this as the orientation map to what we're going to walk through here. You can see that there's areas numbered 1, 2, and 3. Okay, with the harbor itself being the large area blue to the north, the upper part of the page, with Words Ave being down on the lower side. All right, so we're going to do this as if we were kind of arriving at the promenade and walking through. You can see that at area 1, we're calling this the Gateway Piazza. We like to give things names. So this is the Gateway Piazza that is like a oblique form or an oval form, if you will. People say, why is it round? This just seems to fit well in there, and it's a kind of an old historic form too, with a lot of the formal gardens from beyond. And this is a large paved area. Susanna, what's the width of that?
It's about
100 feet in width. So at the center, you see a green area. That would be a lawn area. And so we want to provide some vertical elements there. So at the center there,
has joined the meeting.
We're going to look at some vertical features. So at the center, there's going to be a sculpture, a flag of the green area. The green area, just leave it right there. The green area of the be a flag, a sculpture, statue, what have you. Then flanking that would be 2 shade arbors, because this is a large area. So there's shade arbors on each side of that. And that kind of gives you this enclosure feeling, a little sense of safety, and gives you a kind of sense of space, to use architectural terms. then what's really key here is the connection to the water. So out about 100 feet or so, or wherever we decide is the best location for it, we're proposing that there be a water jet. And this water jet is a pretty dynamic element that would shoot up 60, 80 feet, a spray of water in there. And it becomes that beacon from the surrounding areas to, hey, there's something going on there. I want to go explore that area. I want to go find out what it's about. So this is the gateway. And from the gateway, you can either go to what we're calling the Promenade North, which goes up to the 1917 building, or the Promenade West, which goes by the 33 building and beyond. We'll talk about those in a minute. We have a few images that depict some of the elements we're talking about in this area. These are the next slide. So this is enlargement of the area. You can see the oval there with the shade structures, the water jet out in the water. This is the location that we're looking at. Okay. Now, if we go to, and you can see where Wirtz Ave parallels the south side of it there. Now, if we have a couple of images, Lisa, next one. So to the right is perhaps that vertical element. This is actually the sculpture that's at the new pedestrian bridge in Amsterdam. It's a white vertical wispy element, right? That has a lot of movement to it, visually. And then on the left side, as I had mentioned earlier, we have a historical setting where we're perhaps looking at something that's a little bit industrial but modern with the new features we're putting in. So perhaps this could be a character sketch of the shade arbors that flank each side of the piazza. All right. Now we'll go through a whole refinement process. These are our initial ideas. Just talk about form and scale and mass and location and features. Okay. This is actually Geneva, Switzerland. So this is a water jet that we were thinking that would be a great iconic feature of the harbor. So imagine this being the built-up harbor that we're looking at, and out about 100, 150 feet out into the water, there's this 60 to 80-foot water jet that shoots up vertically. Someone had asked me, well, what happens when it's windy out? Well, we would space it. Typically, when you do a water jet, you want to make sure you have a horizontal distance equal to the water height. And there's also a wind monitoring gauge on a fountain like this. When the wind gets of a certain height, it starts to ratchet the height of the water jet down so it doesn't get spray onto the promenade. But somewhat inexpensive feature relative to other things these days because it would be a floating module out there. All right. Okay, so that's the water jet out in the harbor. Now this is back to the plan view. You can see where we started at the gateway to the south there. This is what we're calling the Promenade North, if you will. And the 1917 building there is the orange rectangle. So going back from the gateway, as you come through the gateway and you decide to go this direction, there's the promenade proper right against the water. We'll talk about that in detail, but that typically is a 35-foot wide paved walkway. We'll look at the materials in a minute. But that walkway is right against the bulkhead where we have a railing. You can look out with the water. We have some decorative paving in there. Then we have benches along the back seat, as well as pole-mounted lights. This is where the lighting would be located on both legs of the promenade, on the back side of the immediate promenade. So back at the gateway, we have a lawn area because we want this to be very much park and not totally hard urban. This would be also an area where there could be some stormwater infiltration. Moving north from there, we have a shade structure and a rain shelter, if you will. You don't want to get caught in the rain there. And it seems that more and more people are wanting shade instead of total sun. We come against the 1917 building, whatever commercial use that evolves into. And then on the north, we have an area for some parking, and then an open lawn area as flex space. And then we have a termination of the promenade with a small shade structure to the north, looking at having some type of vertical element. That location is also where handsome gentleman, who happens to be me, is standing right at the north. So that's a really nice, almost quiet place on the promenade to go to read a book and to do whatever you do.
Barb Broda
That's Promenade North. Okay, we're looking at an example
has
of
joined the meeting.
nice railing for the bulkhead, the promenade. It kind of harkens back to the canal. We put it that canal blue color, but yet it has a little bent to it, adds some flair, some dynamic motion to it. This would be the railing that we would consider for all along the bulkhead. We have some foundries. They say no problem doing casting armatures like this and all that. So we researched it. It's very doable. It doesn't seem to be cost prohibitive. But this is the style of railing that we would want here. Something very rugged, something that's easy to maintain, that stands the test of time, that has a nautical feel to it. All right. Now, next one. So this is that Lisa had highlighted and pointed out the shade or the rain structure. As I mentioned before, this has a history of being an industrial historic site. So some of what we're suggesting here is that the elements take on that a bit of ruggedness, industrial look to them, yet have a delicate aspect to them. So this would be a combination, perhaps, of rain and shade shelter.
So now that Medicare annual enrollment is here, it's time for a plan that gives you more for your Medicare dollar. An AARP Medicare Advantage plan from United.
Someone better mute their phone.
This would be it's kind of a reminiscent of a boardwalk, but instead of actually being a boardwalk, this is a cast concrete with a plank motif cast into it. That photo is actually from the Erie Convention Center out in Erie, PA. So if you imagine the railing that we looked at, the railing would be right where the bollard lights are there. So this would be the promenade that is, how wide is this one here?
It's 15 feet.
This would be a 15-foot width. Then on the back side of it, so this is where people are moving back and forth, and adjacent to the back side, we would have a non-directional paver where benches would be. This is where the light poles would be, and that would be about another 10-foot in width there. So we would have two pavers breaking up a little bit, so that it added a level of detail. Okay, so that's the promenade paving that would go along the bulkhead and adjacent to the railing on both wings of the promenade. Next slide. All right, so we're back to the aerial view. Now we're back at the gateway at the center down there, and now we're going to take a tour of Promenade West. The orange buildings there's the 1933, the existing building, and then the proposed multi-use building that would be adjacent to it, that forms the backdrop for the West Promenade. This has a much different use than the North Promenade. We're seeing this as we have the Walkway Promenade, where Lisa's kind of cursor is right now. That's that 35-foot pavement area with the cast concrete planking that goes in there. We're also seeing this is a place for where the restaurant activities, where the flex space would occur. If there's a food event happening, this is where it would be. Okay, so we have two areas of multi-flexible space in there. With that happening, this is a high activity area, and that's why we've put the boat dock here. So this is like for boats to come up. You know, if there's dining happening there, people love watching boats come in. You know, you've got the water jet adjacent to that area. So this is a high activity, where the North may be a little more quiet, passive type of experience. This is high energy along on the West Promenade. Then as you're continuing down, you see the terminus with the circle at the end there. This is also our opportunity to give homage to the industrial history, heritage of the area. We thought that this could be a place where there needed to be a vertical element that once again signifies a gateway onto the promenade. And this would be perhaps the structure of the old gas storage tanks. We have some images we'll look at in a minute, but this would be that icon for the West Gateway onto the promenade. Next slide. All right, so this is a representational photo of that flex space we're talking about. If you envision the promenade being to the right there, we probably wouldn't have palm trees. We'd have maybe something different. But this is, you can see that it's an open where the pavement is a high quality pavement, but it can be used for and set up as the event requires, which is especially helpful in this whole COVID situation too, where spacing is critical. And buildings would back up into them on the back side like that. So we have both a large group gathering areas and more intimate one to the south. Okay. Now here's the other image. I mentioned that we wanted to.
Biden's team was skeptical that any kind of plans exist inside the Trump administration. We will be on day one. All this as Biden's advisors are blasting Trump's attempt to undermine democracy by firing Chris Krebs, who was in charge of election cybersecurity, telling the truth about the election. It's dangerous. The entire transit.
Basics.
So beaches.
And we're back to, so that's the promenade. This is a very brief walkthrough. Once again, we have the gateway coming in from Wordstand to the south. We have the promenade north, which is item 2, which is a more sedated experience, if you will, quiet experience. And then we have the high energy item 3 there, which is the west promenade with the boat activity, the large group gathering space, the restaurants, and the west gateway feature. All right. And then we close with a couple of images that, if it all comes together, that these are the results we're looking for. Where it's a place where people come together, families come together. Perhaps
Joe Beatrice
has left the meeting.
Of paddle boats out there that people can use. There's events that looks like it's a dog show with tutus on over there up in the upper left. You can see we already have a Utica Club beer event scheduled for the area there.
These were Budweiser's about 30 minutes ago.
So this is what we're hoping.
said that.
If things go right, this is the energy that one's going to experience on the promenade. And with that, I'll.
Just one annotation on the promenade. We're talking about. Let me do this just to bring this back. So the area that the LDC is going to acquire from the Canal Corporation will be about was it 30 feet back, Paul? I can't remember. So and of course this is Mohawk Valley Gardens, and
not acquire from the canal, or you can acquire a lot more, but the intention is to keep that 30 feet from the water in a public, and control the LDC as a public, thoroughfare.
Right. But we did take the opportunity to think through this space, and so we wanted to share it with you first, and then we'll set up a meeting with Rob and Frank at Mohawk Valley Gardens to go over the high use. He was talking about like a winter market and wine and cheese and food festivals, et cetera. So knowing that, we shared that information with Susanna and Jer, and that's where they talked through some of the different designs for this area.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, am I muted? No. So I'm looking at this for the first time, and it's impressive. And you have a floating dock of roughly 35 boats, and then you show some other things. Where's the boat launch?
The boat launch could be, we could go back to this area, the area that it is now, but it'd be a little harder to access where the trail is. But there's also the boat launch where on the other side, on the National Grid side, which I think would be probably better. So it's kind of near, nearby where that gas holder feature they show is.
Well, it would be right up here, right? Because there's no bulkhead wall on this side of the harbor.
Right.
So we were talking a grid about, it's just off the map. I think, was that you, Joe? I'm not sure who that was, but it'd be kind of like up here. But plus, we were looking for some images of different boats, but the boats coming through the canal, so like the cruiser, what do you call them? The cabin cruisers and, the boats that you do see on the canal coming through the lock into the harbor too. So that would be, set up for that as well.
Right, but you're not going to have 35 boats of that magnitude coming into this. You're going to get more of the bow runners that maybe would be able to utilize the canal in this area. And eventually, you probably will have some rentals for either jet skis or kayaking or any other ones. I think it'd be pretty important to have some type of a boat launch to really accentuate this, along with some of the other ideas that we're moving forward with.
You don't have any parking for the trailers and the cars after they unload.
Right. Well, right.
That you might want to mention.
I would.
Yep,
Yeah.
right, exactly. And I think we were talking to Grid about putting a boat launch on this side because there's no wall, if you recall, on this side. So we're looking at a boat launch either on this side, and then were we looking at this boat launch at all?
That's what people use today. I would probably not go back to this area because we're going to have this continuation of the Ray Hill Trail through there and the trail area. So I would not want it. This wouldn't be my first choice. It would be going back to the other side with where the National Grid launch is today.
But
Yeah.
Paul, you're going to need ample parking for the trailers and the cars that park there after they unload their boats as well.
Well, and that's what that other side works well because, the whole idea for Jones Chemical is a municipal parking lot.
No, and you know what? No matter where it may be, as long as we introduce this, and don't forget about the fact if you want people to start using this as a venue, the boat launch I think is going to be kind of something that we should incorporate into the overall meaningful of developing this tourist attraction.
Yeah,
The flow of traffic coming up and down the canal is okay. It's not overwhelming.
It's nominal. It's nominal as compared to if you put a boat there.
I agree. The day uses coming in using kayak or canoe or in whatever are probably more important than the expectation of boats coming in from the canal. I think we all agree. I agree for sure. We can certainly do that, right, Lisa? Start to look at that harder.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Yeah.
I'll be parking my boat there.
Well, as Jared said, the early concepts of the master plan had the docks over by the 1917 building, which still could do as well, right?
Yeah, but it's a neat activity. People like watching that.
Yeah, I mean, this adds value to this active space, for these docks, but certainly having people around in canoes, kayaks, paddle boats, what have you, through here would be great.
Yeah.
I think we should look at that water feature going out a little bit further out and more in the center, just to give it some more space to be, to be higher and to get out of the splash zone, basically. But my thought, but I don't know. That's a thought.
Yeah. And this walkway over here, this would come from the Jones Chemical site, the parking over here, right, Susanna? Yeah. So just to give you that sort of entrance in. So they're reparking literally right here. So this is one of the closest parking areas that we would have to come into the harbor.
One of the closest, and would be one of the good size ones too.
And then Paul, if we think about it, but what's the other property over here? The Tar Emulsions?
Further down.
Yeah. That could be boat trailer parking possibly.
Could be too. Yeah, I think it's just something we need to start exploring on that side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a ways to go on the design, but these are the initial footprints onto the site as far as our design intent. And as we move forward, the whole idea is to make it something that stands the test, low maintenance, the best we can, rugged materials that looks good.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Lisa and Jared.
I was just saying, Lisa, it's Allison. Could you possibly send me this PowerPoint after? I know there's a couple LDC members that have joined only by phone, so I'm not sure they actually got to view the full presentation. So I could distribute to the LDC after.
Okay, yep.
Right, good idea.
As long as
All
we're
right.
doing that, the fencing that you have here, the railing around there, is there any other venues that you've looked at that you could basically say there's three options, take a look at them, that they've used either in Cleveland, Baltimore, or some other harbors, that we at least could see a choice, a difference between this and maybe some other ones?
Yes, we can. We actually have a library together. For this presentation, we wanted to do, we show one, understanding there's a time consideration. But we can show you, we can definitely post the other ideas that we looked at and the feelings that they give. You know, because the railing does impact the sense of place because it's a big element, right? That's a lot of it. So, but yes, we have different options.
Great.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
All right, well, thanks for the presentation. If we can move back to our action items, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the October 21st meeting?
I can do it. Jack, no matter go.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Joe Beatrice.
All right, thanks, Joe. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. Paul, do you want to talk about the change order?
Yeah, let me just give you a quick construction update. Things are going well out there with what we're calling the Wers Ave construction, or Wers Ave extension road right now. I don't know if anybody's driven through North Utica and seen the work. It's really another great piece to everything going on out there. Really, when you look at it, it wants you to take. You start to feel like you don't need that white fence anymore between Holiday Inn and everything else. It's starting to really come together as a attractive site. And then when you put together what DOT's doing in North Genesee Street with the walkways, the 10-foot walk across the Broad Street ramp and everything, boy, you really get a feel now for the Harbor District. It's really coming together. But anyway, the most of the grading work is done. The fine grading for the road has been done. The curbs are in. And then tomorrow, we've had a lot of people out there today, including engineering department's been out there. We're hoping to put the base down tomorrow. They're worried about being a little bit delayed in the morning as things kind of get de-thawed out there. You don't want to put the paving down when it's cold ground. So we're all looking at it, but we do want to get the base down tomorrow, the base course. And then Friday, we got a beautiful day to get the binder and the top down. So if everything goes right, they did say they'd work into Saturday if they had to. So by Sunday, the road should be paved. And at that point, we still got a few more weeks, and as part of the change order, Vin
Has joined the
mentioned,
meeting.
is they've pretty much had one crew out there the whole time, Central Paving. They've been pretty stretched this year. So things got kind of pushed out a bit. So after the road's paved, they still got to do some sub base for the future sidewalks. They've got some other grading work to be done. There's a stormwater pipe that needs to be finished on the far end of the site. So there's a bunch of odds and ends. It's the new paving work, the brick pavers that go in the front entrance that make to complete the walkway and all that, landscaping associated with that. All has to go in yet. So that's going to go in after the paving now through most of December. So so that's a construction update, and also the need for the need to extend our inspector out there through the month of December. And we also, during that period, we have Tioga has a change order, as you approved last month, which included the demolition of Arctic Ice. That is slated to happen the first week in December. And so our inspector would also be, looking at that, inspecting that demolition work. So Vin has amendment number 7 to the ESD activities contract, ESD 182 or Z182. It's for $19,000 and $580. So we need a resolution for Vin to execute that change order, amendment number 7.
There's money in the budget for it, Paul?
Yep, this is under the Z-182. There's money in the budget. It's in the everything's within the dollars we gave the bank for what we need to finish up the work out there. And this is 100% reimbursable because of the Department of State work that the roadway is under, and that work provides the match for this work. So everything under this grant is done at 100% reimbursement.
Perfect. Okay. Any questions on the change order? If not, can I get a motion to?
Also looking to extend it out for 1 month from end of November to end of December?
That's correct.
Hey, Paulie, on that reimbursement, what's the turnaround time on it?
We've been doing pretty well with Z-182, but we haven't had, this is the first one we've submitted. We just submitted one last week. It's the first time we've done it with COVID. So, but before we were getting it within 60 days.
What's your best guess?
I think we're still going to get it within 60 days. I mean, it's not a big, these are not big chunks we're asking for with ESD. It's not like we're asking for, $4 million like we did for the bulkheads. We're asking for, amounts that are in the $500,000 ranges. So, I still think we're going to get it. And if, we've been able to we've put political pressure on that as well at times, and that's helped. So I do think, I'm still hopeful that we'll get it within 60 days, Jack.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion to approve the change order?
Lomedico.
Can I get a second?
Okay.
Hey, you, Yvonne?
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. I'll get that signed and over to you, Paul.
Okay, great. And is there anybody have any other questions on the construction work?
No?
No.
Just
Okay.
my only question was that on the development end of it, do the developers themselves, are they still financially doing okay where they're actually going to be able to partake in this?
Yeah, yes, that's what we've been told. I think we've been told that they might be a little bit delayed in their plans, but they are still intending to, pursue an agreement with the LDC.
That just might be a question we might want to pursue a little, because, everybody's hurting for a little cash right now, and, and they've had some other projects that they're working on as well. So I just don't want to make,
Specifically with MVG, Jack?
Say again?
Are you talking specifically about Mohawk Valley Gardens or just in general?
No, Mohawk Valley Gardens. I mean,
Okay.
I can see what their projects are, and everything is sort of ground to a halt. And, so you always got to check, right? You got to verify, make sure that, they're doing enough, or we don't want to get stuck with anything. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Just trying to be, without stepping on anybody's stuff.
Well, now that we have the promenade ideas, Lisa, maybe we could set up a meeting with them and sit down and ask that question.
Yeah, that's the intention.
Okay.
I'll try to get it set up as I can.
Okay. All right, the meeting dates, December 16th, I'm assuming we'll still be meeting by WebEx. So, we'll hold that date. If there's nothing that we have to move and we just need an update, maybe we'll get it out to everybody and cancel the meeting as we're getting close to the Christmas holiday time. So, other than that, do we have any other questions that anybody might have on the project? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Councilman Beatrice.
Second?
Mary.
Mary? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Have a good Thanksgiving, everybody. Stay healthy.
You as
Thanks,
Left the meeting.
bye-bye.
Thanks, Ben.